Welcome back. So I showed you how to prepare your cookies, how to cut them out of cookie dough and get them ready to be baked up. We've got some baked cookies here, and I'm going to show you some simple and fun techniques to decorate your cookies with. The first thing I'm going to show you is some simple stencils. Stenciling is really fun, it's really easy, and you can use it on cupcakes, on cookies, on your cake, pretty much anywhere. Wilton sells some really fun ones for all different seasons. I really like theirs because they're a nice sturdy silicone type plastic. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's a really good flexible stencil. It cleans up really easily, and I just really enjoy using it. I know you can find some metal ones out there. You can also make your own if you get some heavy cardstock. You can use some punches and punch out different designs. You can get a X-Acto knife and cut out different designs, things like that. They work really well too, but they're kind of a one-time use only thing. Once the grease from the buttercream and things like that get onto your stencils, they don't really work very well after that. So yeah, we're gonna do some stenciling. So you're just gonna take a cookie. I just did some round ones. You can use your star ones, square ones, flower ones, whatever you want, but we're going to use a round one. We're just going to take this stencil here that has some stars and little flag lines on it and put it on there. Now I went to great lengths to find a round cutter that was pretty much the same size as these stencils. It works out really well that way. If you have a cookie that's smaller than that, that's fine. You can just adjust the stencil. You can actually even cut these so that they fit really well onto your cookies. It works out just really good that way. Okay, so we're going to have some blue stars, some red stripes, and then we'll put a white decoration on the outside. With your stencils, you can actually just take your spatula, grab some icing, and put it on there just like that. That works out fine. These ones have a little bit smaller design on there, so I actually like to use a piping bag and pipe my icing onto there so that it fits in just nicely. Okay, and especially when I'm using different colors, it works out better that way. So I'm going to hold it down with my left hand and pipe some icing into the stars. You don't have to put too much on there, and we're actually going to take our spatula and wipe some of it off. Okay, there's the third one. Okay, and then we're going to do red stripes, so I'll put the red on there as well. And the blue icing is kind of holding it all together, so I don't really need to hold it down anymore. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but I just really like the control that I have with the piping bag. Okay, so we've got those two done. The other thing I really like using with these stencils is one of these tapered spatulas. It works out really well for the tiny areas, this tapered point here at the top. You can, again, use just a regular angled spatula, but I really prefer the tapered ones. So we're going to do the red first. I'm going to hold down, again, the stencil and just softly and gently wipe some of this red off. You don't want to push too hard or else you're going to move your stencil, but you want to make sure that you get a nice surface area so it's not all bumpy and everything. You also don't need to have that much icing on there, and if you have too much, it can affect the outcome of the stencil when you pull it off of the design. Okay, so I'm going to wipe this clean and then scrape off my blue. Again, just gently moving it. You don't ever really want to move these back and forth. Just one fluid motion. And if you take off too much icing, it'll actually peel the icing off away from the cookie. So you don't want to do that. Okay, wipe that clean. Now we're ready to take off the stencil, and I think it's turned out really, really good here. There we go. Really nice, clean looking, clean lines. Looks like somebody painted it on there perfectly or something. Okay, so now to clean off your stencils, it works out really well just to take your spatula and just wipe it over the top of it and scrape off that excess icing. You can clean it off, and then you just take a napkin and just kind of touch up the rest of the areas, wipe off the rest of the areas that got messed up. And that's just a quick clean. If you're going to use this again, you can just go ahead and wash them. It works out really fine just to wash them in hot water with a lot of soap, and that'll work out great. Okay, so now we're going to add our little white decoration to this cookie. My favorite thing to do with the cookies is to put a little bit of icing around the edges and then roll them in sugars, and it just makes it sparkly and fun. So we're going to take our white bag and we're going to pipe some icing here just on the very edge of the cookie. And it doesn't have to be a perfect line or anything, but you want it kind of thick so that it will grab onto a lot of those sugars. Okay. Now we're going to pull out or pour out some of our white icing sugars. You can find these sparkling sugars pretty much anywhere at any craft store where they sell cake decorating supplies. A lot of these sugars too are quite large, and so if they're too big, you can always put them into a bowl and take a spoon or something and crush them up smaller. But these will work just fine the way they are for this little project. Okay, I like to dump these out onto napkins because the napkin is kind of malleable, and then it makes for easy cleanup. So I can use my one hand underneath the napkin here to push the sugars against the icing, and then my other hand just kind of grabs the cookie where there's no icing and turns it, and that way I can get the white icing covered but none of the icing, none of the red or blue. Okay, and we'll just give it a little shake to get the excess stuff off. Oops, and I touched my little blue star. If you want to make it easier, you can actually take the cookie after you've put the stencil on there and put it in the refrigerator and let that icing set up. And that way, when you're doing something like this that I did afterwards, you won't worry or ruin the stuff that you've already put on there. So this is our little red, white, and blue star flag cookie. Turned out really cute, I think. You really want to make sure that you push those sugar crystals into the icing. That will help keep them on there. It will also just attach them very nicely so that you don't have any excess icing that doesn't have anything on it. Usually if you just kind of shake the sugars on, they just fall right off and they don't stick very well. So you want to make sure that you really push it together. Okay, so now we're going to decorate one of our star cookies here. We'll clean up these white sugar crystals. How easy is that? Just on our little napkin there. Okay, and now we're going to get our red one. We'll get another napkin. And for doing something like this, where I'm going to be adding sugar crystals to it, just like with the white one here, I liked using a white icing. That just makes the colors pop out better. So for this red one, I'm going to be using my red icing and my red sugar crystals, and that's just going to help it look nicer. For other sugars or crystals or whatever, non-parallels, whatever you call these, it works out really well for any color because this one has 3 different colors, and so I've used all 3 different colors. It works out really well. The white was kind of my favorite, how it turned out, so yeah, any of those will work fine. Okay, for our red one here, we're just going to do some stripes right across there. So I'm just going to start here and freehand some big red stripes all the way across my cookie. If you want to, you can actually get a ruler and put it next to there so that you can help get perfectly straight lines. Or if you're pretty good at that, you can just do it freehand, whatever. I usually like to do freehand just because it turns out better that way. Okay, so we've got our red stripes here. We'll get our red crystals. Dump some of these out. And I'm actually going to spread these out so that they're as big as the star surface area wise I don't really want to use the star to push those around. I just want to push it down in there and be done. So I'm just going to lay it down in there, push, 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 push. There we go. And then you can tap off all the excess stuff. And we've got some really fun sugary stripes onto our cookie. And in some places here, the sugar crystals have stuck even though there's no icing. So I just go through, you can go through with your finger or with a little brush and clean it all up, and that'll work out just fine. You can also tap it against a hard surface, and that helps make the crystals that are not stuck with the icing fall off, and the ones that are stuck with the icing will stay on. Okay, so here, oops, let's clean up our red sugar crystals. We'll do a blue one now. I've got an example here of an inlay that I did, and I actually used just a regular blue or a regular sugar cookie dough with a blue sugar cookie star put into the center of it. So we're going to decorate that one. And again, I don't have to decorate the whole thing because it's just going to, it already has color and fun stuff on there from the colored cookie dough. So we'll sprinkle out our blue stuff here. We'll get our blue bag. Now this blue icing and the blue for the star don't really match, but that's okay. It'll just give it some more fun dimensional colors and things like that. And the blue sugar sprinkles don't match either, so it all works out just fine. So with this one, I'm just going to outline the star where the star meets the edge of the cookie. And you want to make kind of a thick line with your icing so that there's enough icing to stick on a whole bunch of sugars and cover the whole area that you're looking for. Okay, so there's our blue. We'll flip this over onto our sugar sprinkles. Again, just kind of push down, tap, tap, tap. Okay. And again, tap it out to get off all the excess stuff. And here's our really fun sugar sprinkle with our blue on our blue star. And that one is just really simple. So I just decorated 3 cookies really super fast. You know, if you need to bring a dozen or something like that, it can go really fast. We'll do one more stencil here, and then I'll show you how to put it all together in a fun cookie bouquet. Okay, so let's get our blue sugar sprinkles here and clean these up. You can find so many different colors at craft stores, at baking stores, Walmart, grocery stores, things like that. They're just everywhere. Okay, so we'll do our blue star here, and we're going to do another stencil. Now this stencil obviously is a little bit bigger than our blue star, but the words that I want to use, the little USA pattern here, fits on there just fine. So it doesn't matter if this is a round one on a square cookie or star or whatever, as long as it fits in there, it'll work out just fine. Okay, so we'll start out with our red, and again you want to hold it down when you're putting your icing on there to make sure that your stencil doesn't move. We'll get our white for our S and pipe that on there, and then our blue for the last little letter here. Okay, I'm going to gently let go, get my tapered spatula, and we'll start with the A. And again, I'm just going to gently smooth it across. I like to wipe off my spatulas every single time because that just gives me a nice clean tool to work with. And it just works out really well that way. Okay, so we've got our blue smoothed out. We'll do our white in the middle here. This one's kind of the hardest one because we've got blue and red on each side to kind of trap it. And if you accidentally take off some of the icing, you can always pipe it back on there. That's the greatest thing about piping it and everything. It comes out really good either way. Okay, so now our red. Just gently smooth it out. There we go. Okay. Clean that off. Now we'll take off our stencil. Come on, there we go. Hooray! Now there's one little part on the S here that didn't quite turn out that I don't like, so I can actually take my little bag and pipe on that little part there that didn't quite stick, just to fill it out. And of course, you don't have to be that technical. I'm just being really technical with it. But that works out really good. And the fun thing too about these sugar cookies is you can actually wipe off all the icing and start over again if it didn't turn out for some reason. That is the great thing about these sugar cookies. So we've got our fun little USA star here, and we'll put that there. Okay, so I'm gonna clean this all up and get everything ready to show you how to put it all together in a fun cookie bouquet.